I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the au pair affair double murder case. Allegations that the au pair was sleeping with the victim's husband, who planned the murder of his wife, and a man responding to an ad about kinky sex. Here's the story. Brendon and Christine Banfield were married with a small child. They lived in a beautiful $1 million home in the D.C. suburbs in Herndon, Virginia. Brendon worked for the government as an armed IRS law enforcement agent. To help with their small child, the Banfields hired an au pair. Her name was Juliana Magalhaes, and she was from Brazil. Everything seemed to be very normal with this family until the morning of February 24th, 2023. On that morning, a man named Joseph Ryan showed up at the house. He was responding to an ad on a fetish website for a woman who was into BDSM, cutting, and knife play. The ad was placed from Christine Banfield's computer. What happened next that morning is not 100% clear, but the results are Christine Banfield was stabbed and killed, Joseph Ryan was shot and killed, Juliana, the au pair, called 911, and so did Brendon Banfield. Then months later, Juliana was arrested and charged with murder. Then prosecutors charged Brendon Banfield with murder. And in another twist, prosecutors gave the au pair a deal, changing her murder charge to manslaughter. So now in this case, we have 2 dead bodies, 2 defendants, and a lot of unanswered questions. This is, you say unanswered question, this is a doozy of a case. Like when you look at what happened here and why it happened and the planning and alleged plotting of all of this. I want to begin, though, by showing you some of the body camera video of Juliana Magalhaes. This is the au pair. Now, remember, she's young, and she's originally from Brazil. You know, I'd come to this country, I guess, for this work. I don't know if she was going to stay or not. But take a look as she explains in the moment what her story is and what her version of what happened inside that home.
I was going out with the Magalhaes with her daughter.
Okay, yep, she said you were there.
And then I forgot our lunch to bring it. And I was coming back to the house to get the lunch. Voicemail, so I couldn't talk to her. And then I called Brendon, her husband.
Okay.
And then he said, wait for me, I'll go there. Don't go inside of the Valerie. And then he came back here. And we went inside. And then we went upstairs first, and then I went to see what's going on. And I heard the guy was, I don't know who. I don't know.
What?
It's cranking her. I heard, like, I don't know what was that. And Brendon said, please drop the knife, because he had a knife. And then he said, drop the gun to Brendon. They were yelling. I couldn't understand. We were super fast.
Okay. Let me see if I can try to get you some water. Yeah.
Now, I don't think that is like acting at all, but the words she's saying don't necessarily line up with the truth, at least how prosecutors see this case and what she is saying now. This is a very complicated story because it's a very complicated situation in what happened in that house, in the planning of all of this. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation. And it's an important one because we need to figure this out first, which is, what was the alleged murder plot, right? What is the story? What are the pieces? What is it that prosecutors say this au pair and this husband and father did and planned and plotted in taking the lives of these two people. Joining me, the co-host of Primetime Crime on YouTube, Pop Crime TV reporter Lauren Conlin, and former homicide prosecutor Jarrett Ferrantino. Great to have you both here. Thank you so much for being here. I want to break it into really two pieces. I want to begin first with the first part. I want to put this up on the screen, and then we'll sort of dissect it a little bit. This is the alleged plot, luring a man and framing him for Christine's murder. Brendon Banfield, okay, this is the husband, father, IRS agent, by the way, created a profile for his wife, Christine Banfield, on a social networking platform called Fetlife, and matched with Joseph Ryan, who was a stranger. Joseph began messaging the person he thought was Christine through Telegram. We've learned about Telegram through the Stephen Stearns Jen Soto case. It's an encrypted, sort of secretive app to communicate. Juliana Magalhaes, that's the au pair, pretended to be Christine in a voicemail message that she left for Joseph. And here's the big part. Joseph agreed to come to Christine's home for what he thought was a consensual sexual encounter. Okay, Lauren Conlin, we talk about planning, the level of planning here just to get to this part, just to get Joseph Ryan to that house. I mean, this is diabolical.
It's disgusting, Vinny. I don't even think Lifetime Movie Network could have thought of anything like this. And in my opinion, they targeted Joseph Ryan because he was into knife play. They wanted someone who would bring their own murder weapon that Juliana and Brendon Banfield could allegedly use. And according to prosecutors, Brendon Banfield had said to Juliana a few months prior that he wanted to get rid of his wife somehow. And so they concocted this plan. Now, Juliana has alleged that Brendon Banfield made everything up and she went along with it. But this is very, very tricky. It's very intricate. And as you said, we still don't know everything. We are still speculating on a lot of things here. But what we do know, Vinny, is that there was a photo that Brendon Banfield sent to Juliana of his wife, Christine Banfield, and Juliana used that photo as the Fetlife profile. So we know that they set up this Fetlife profile as Christine Banfield and were communicating with Joseph Ryan as Christine, luring him over for this consensual BDSM encounter. And then what was to follow was allegedly a double murder.
Jarrett, the other part of this is, right, who is Brendon? Brendon isn't just any old person. He's an armed law enforcement agent for the IRS.
That's true. I mean, Vinny, he's a federal agent with knowledge of investigative techniques and technology. As elaborate as this plan was, and it was somewhat elaborate, he has to understand that they're going to reverse engineer what happened here. They're going to look into the computers. They're going to look into who was communicating with whom. So Brendon's background, although it may have helped him develop this scheme, it certainly it lends you to speculation about what was he thinking if he should have known better.
Now, the day of the murders, I want to go through that as well, because again, there's some alleged planning going on here. Christine, the victim, the mother, purchases tickets for her daughter and the au pair to go to the zoo. Brendon leaves work, but then sits in a nearby McDonald's parking lot. Juliana and the child leave for the zoo, but return home saying that Juliana forgot their lunches. Juliana sees Joseph Ryan entering the house and calls Christine and Brendon. Brendon returns home. Juliana and Brendon follow Joseph Ryan into the bedroom armed with guns. They say they find Joseph stabbing Christine. Joseph is shot to death. Juliana and Brendon tell police they thought Joseph was an intruder attacking Christine. Christine dies from the stab wounds. Lauren, we don't think that Joseph caused any harm to Christine, right?
No, Vinny. Joseph did not cause any harm to Christine. And Investigators later discover that Christine's body and Joseph Ryan's body, they believe they were moved and they were staged. And they did all the testing with the blood spatter, with the evidence, and this is what they believe. But Vinnie, it's really confusing and unclear what exactly happened once Joseph Ryan entered the house. I mean, we know that Brendon Banfield took Christine's phone and threw it in a drawer and turned it off, which is why she did not receive these alleged calls from Juliana.
The big question I have, though, is how does he get in the house? Like, how does this Christine did not set up this rendezvous, Jared. Like, there's somehow, some way, this guy gets into the house.
Vinnie, the table would have had to have been set. He would have been given instructions to go through a door that would have been left open. And the more curious thing, too, Juliana and Brendon put themselves in a position to be nearby. Juliana having to come back, Brendon at a nearby McDonald's. They set the stage for this, so they would have directed Joseph Ryan to enter the home and probably go right upstairs to the bedroom.
Diabolical, the only way to describe this. Okay, our guests are staying with us through the hour. Coming up next, we mentioned it. What is Fetlife?
Guy, I don't know who it is. He was spanking her, doing.
When you go into a trial, you try to eliminate surprises.
Did he ever use the N-word?
Yes, he did.
That was a surprise. The goal was to get him to lie.
Have you used that word?
Not that I recall, no.
Anywhere that he was involved was tarnished.
I was heard uttering the N-word 40 times. How do you pull that back? You don't.
Trial and Error. Why did O.J. win? A Court TV original series. New episode Sunday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific. Only on Court TV.
The guy, I don't know who it is. He was spanking her, doing. I was just here.
Were you here when it happened, or did you walk up in there and
yeah, he went upstairs first, and then I went to see what is going on. I left Valerie in the basement, and then when I went up the stairs, Brendon was saying, "Police, drop the knife, drop the knife."
So, Brendon's a police officer.
Yeah, he's an officer.
That's a lie, right? Like that's the lie that she's telling, that he was spanking her. And what she's describing is she's trying to get law enforcement to believe that this stranger, Joseph Ryan, comes to Christine's house, never met her before, and they walk in and he's spanking her. That's what they're trying to, like, where does that come from? Well, it comes from the whole alleged plot here. Because she's admitted her role in all of this, folks. They hooked up on Fetlife.com. Take a look. Fetlife, what is it? Well, it is the most popular social network for the BDSM fetish and kinky community. They say more than 11 million members, 93 million pictures and videos, 28,000 upcoming events. It's for real. But we need to learn a little bit more, and that's the next question in our investigation. It's all about the website that is used to connect the two victims, to connect them. Simple question. I don't know how simple the answer is. What is Fetlife? Joining me, author of the book, Hearts and Collars, and the co-host of the long-running sex podcast, Erotic Awakening, Dawn Williams is with us, and clinical and forensic neuropsychologist and author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. Thank you. Dawn, what is Fetlife? How would you describe this, and what goes on there?
So Fetlife is just a social platform that many of us in the kink communities use. It's been around for many years. We advertise training on there, classes, events, all kinds of things.
Would it be common for two people to get together the way they got together in this plot? Like Christine, the victim, wasn't a part of it, but someone was playing her role in all this. But could two people meet up, never see each other, but then one morning you come to my house, the side door is open, come up, make sure you're bringing a knife and some zip ties?
So it can happen like that. People have different fetishes. I mean, but they could have gone on any platform and designed something like that. Fetlife is not usually, it wasn't built to be like a hookup site like some of the others, like OkCupid and Tinder and things like that. It's more about building community. So but it's still possible.
So Joseph Ryan, right? So he's going over there. His expectations are that he's meeting this woman. She's left him a voicemail message. They've communicated on Telegram. They've set up whatever they were going to do that day. What are the safety concerns? Would he have safety concerns? Should he have had any safety concerns with all of this?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we teach in the kink community, in the BDSM community, is safety. That is huge for us. There are many classes that people can take on it. There are many, we talk about it on the podcast all the time. The problem is that we mostly gear it towards women. We don't always think about training the men, teaching the men to be safe about this. So he probably thought this is perfectly legit and he was going to help somebody act out a fantasy.
Dr. Judy Ho, you know, everyone has their own thing. Joseph Ryan had his thing, but he was duped into being there. I want you to talk about the people doing the duping. Like, this is a diabolical plan to lure this man over there, have him bring a knife, and then set him up for committing a murder and then kill him at the same time. This is diabolical thinking.
Definitely diabolical, Vinny, and really corrupting another person's agency, and especially at a time in a situation where there's a sense of letting down your guard a bit and being vulnerable, clearly, by showing up to what you thought was a consensual interaction. And this shows how much plotting and how much planning there must have been, because it's pretty intricate, right? They've had to do a number of steps. And at any point during this process, they could have opted out. One person could have opted out, but they didn't. And I have seen this so many times, Vinny, I know you have, where because there is two people involved, it's almost like they're one-upping each other, and then nobody gets out. It's almost like this game of chicken. Like, no one's going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe what we're doing is terrible, and maybe there's a different idea. Maybe not do this at all. No, these people just egged each other on, and unfortunately, they cost 2 lives in the process.
Let me ask you, Dawn, I never heard of Fetlife before this. I know some people at home are saying, yeah, sure, Vinny, you never heard of it. No, I never heard of it. But would it be common that someone that didn't know about it, like a quick search, you would find? Because we know what their alleged plan was. I'm wondering how they landed on Fetlife to set this whole thing up. Is it sort of a very common, very popular website?
Yeah, it's actually very popular. Like I said, I've been on it since 2009, but with the podcast, the books, I mean, I've been in the community for 25 years at this point. So when it came around, everybody was excited about it. We all had a single platform where we could find each other and not have to be in the ads in the back of magazines, sort of thing. So now, would you do a search in there to look for something specific? Sure, but you would end up finding a group, not necessarily a person. So I'm kind of curious how they trickled down into finding a person.
Dr. Judy Ho, do you think that maybe one of the 2 defendants maybe used or knew about this website prior to using it for these purposes?
Very possible, Vinny. Even though, as Dawn said, it is the most popular website for people who share these interests. For people who this is not really an interest of theirs, they may not know about it at all. And so one of them most likely has heard of it and said, hey, there's so many people on it. It's so easy for us to maybe find somebody. But that's an interesting point that Dawn just made, though, that it's probably hard to locate one individual. So it makes you wonder, why Ryan? And why was he picked? What did they pick up from any online interactions with him when they were posing as Brendon's now deceased wife, that they thought, hey, this is a good target. This is a great person to go after because he's going to show up at the house and he's gonna not know what hit him. I mean, how much background search or information do they have on him that maybe he's not a violent person, as many have said, that perhaps they would be able to overpower him physically because he doesn't have that kind of experience. It's just interesting how they landed on Ryan.
Let me ask you, Dawn, about knife play. I think what they were talking about here is someone coming over with a knife, zip tying, using the knife to take the clothes off. Is that something that is standard? Is it like whoa, like people in the, I guess the kink world would be like, whoa, slow down there? Or is it a little more vanilla than I would think?
That's a little more vanilla. I mean, cutting off clothes, that's like, ooh, yes. So that's kind of normal, actually, for what you can find in the kink world. So cutting off someone's clothes, it's exciting, it's vulnerable, and I see it all the time at dungeon parties. I mean, we have weekend conventions on this stuff with hundreds of people.
Yeah, well, there are 11 million members of just Fetlife.com. Dawn Williams, appreciate your insight. We needed it, and I'm sure we'll call on you again. This is a big, big case. Dr. Judy Ho sticking around. Up next, how did police discover the affair? I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the au pair affair murder case. A man responded to an ad allegedly from a woman seeking kinky sex early in the morning. That man was shot. The woman was stabbed, and her husband and the au pair are accused of orchestrating all of it. Here's the story. Christine Banfield was married to an IRS law enforcement agent named Brendon Banfield. They lived in the leafy D.C. suburb of Herndon, Virginia. Together, they had a child who was 4 years old. The couple hired an au pair from Brazil named Juliana Magalhaes to help with their daughter. On the morning of February 24th, 2023, a man named Joseph Ryan showed up at the house. He was responding to a BDSM ad from a woman looking for some rough sex and knife play. What happened that morning inside the Banfield's home is now the subject of a murder trial. Christine was stabbed and killed, while Joseph Ryan was shot and killed. Prosecutors say it was the husband, Brendon, and the au pair, Juliana, who are responsible. Prosecutors have given the au pair a deal, and she will likely testify against her former lover, Brendon. Exactly what happened that morning is murky, to say the least, and it will be up to a jury to figure it all out. Bunch of layers to this one, and if you believe prosecutors, some really intricate planning and plotting of this murder, this double murder, where not only do you kill the target, but then you kill the person who you wanted to take the fall for committing the murder of the target. I know that sounds confusing. This case is confusing, but let's begin here. Brendon and Christine Banfield. All right, husband, wife, 4-year-old daughter, beautiful home, good job, great neighborhood. They had it all until they hired the au pair. What happened then? The au pair ends up in the hot tub with the husband/father. The mom ends up dead. But this is the why. That photo right there, you're looking at the motive. So that brings us to the next question in our investigation, which is, how did police discover the affair? How did they figure it out? It seemed like there was a lot of planning from the armed IRS agent and his Brazilian au pair. You know, we've got this whole backstory. We're going on Fetlife. We're making sure a guy comes over with a knife. All of it. Joining me, the co-hosts of Primetime Crime on YouTube, Pop Crime TV reporter Lauren Conlon and former homicide prosecutor Jarrett Ferrantino. Jarrett, this affair really, to me, is the foundation of the whole case. It's the why of it, and to me, that's important. That's significant. Does it matter how serious this love affair was between the au pair and the husband?
It does, Vin, and it matters how long it's been going on. In this particular case, if you look at the circumstances, these two had to be quite taken with each other if they were willing to take out not only Christine Banfield, but a man like Joe Ryan who had no connection and nothing to do with them. It appears they were interlocked in what was an extended and intense affair.
Lauren Conlon, this is a cliche. I mean, this guy is living a cliche life, you know? I've got a great life, I've got a great wife, I've got a child, but oh my goodness, she's 24, and she likes me, and she's from Brazil. This guy's a cliche.
He is a walking cliche, Vinny. And can that just be a PSA right there to all married men? Please do not sleep with your babysitter. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I can't believe we're even discussing that and discussing this as a double murder plot. But Vinny, I want to add here that when law enforcement came to arrest Juliana initially, because she was arrested months before Brendon Banfield, they saw framed pictures in the master bedroom. They saw that Juliana had moved all of her stuff in the master bedroom. Her lingerie was strewn about everywhere. And then upon further digging, they discovered that Brendon and Juliana had gotten new phones, both of them 2 weeks prior to the murders. In addition to that, they discovered that Brendon had actually taken Juliana to a shooting range a month prior and then went back and bought her a Glock.
That's even more planning. Let's take a look at what you're talking about here. This is February 24th of 2023. We take a look at Juliana's guest bedroom and closet, okay? Now, the arrows are pointing at a couple articles of clothing that I want you to pay close attention to. One of them seems to have the colors of the Brazilian soccer team, but that's the guest bedroom and closet in February, okay? Flash forward to October and Juliana's guest bedroom and closet. Oh, somebody moved out. Did the au pair get fired? Did she get fired? Did she? Oh no, she went back to Brazil? Oh no, let's take a look at the primary bedroom closet. Oh, there's that Brazilian soccer shirt and the other shirt that were in her closet a few months earlier. And then we've got some more pictures for you. Let's take a look at the lingerie. There's the pink lingerie on the primary bedroom bed with the purple sheets. I don't think that's Brendon's pink lingerie. I just don't think. Now, if you look on the nightstand, let's zoom in on that. We've got another photo we can show. Oh boy, that's a huge picture, by the way. That looks like that's bigger than the 8x10s I send to all my fans. No, actually, I don't send anything, but that's a huge photo on the nightstand of those two. Jared, I mean, that paints a very clear picture for this jury.
If the picture is worth 1,000 words, Vinny, and take the shock value out of it, all of those pictures are going to be exhibits in the trial. Any photographs before the murder and the subsequent pictures are all evidence of the motive here. I would, as you know, any prosecutor wants to turn their case into a story that's compelling and supported by evidence. That's exactly how I would tell this story to the jury. I'd show them those pictures from the beginning to the end and say, that's exactly what happened here. And then fill in the details with a double murder. It's just those are explosive, those pictures, and very compelling.
Lauren Conlon, do you think they saw their relationship the same, the au pair and the husband?
That's tough. I mean, I think that Juliana probably saw Brendon as her meal ticket, and Brendon saw Juliana as his toy or his plaything. And just going back to that picture quickly, if you notice, that's an out-of-town picture. They're already taking trips together. And one last thing, Juliana was really stupid in a jailhouse phone call, and when she got arrested, she actually asked Brendon, "Are you still with me, or are you with me because you think I'm going to tell?" pretty telling.
Jared, let's get back to when we started our conversation tonight, talking about the fact that, yes, he is law enforcement, works for the IRS, he's armed, that's why he had a gun that day. It seems like he kind of did one level of planning, but when it came to the affair, he really didn't hide it. I guess they initially downplayed it a little bit, but you're moving in together, taking these trips, taking photos. I am shocked that he thought he could, you know, that this wouldn't be uncovered.
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy too, Vin. If you believe their theory that Christine was engaging in affairs, then he's a jilted husband at that point, and whatever he does following her murder at the hands of a BDSM Fetlife man, he's covered. He's a victim, if you believe the world according to Brendon Banfield. So that's why they were comfortable moving about their affair and going forward.
Did you see the light bulb just go off above my head when you said that, Jared? That it's part of the plan, right?
That's right.
And it made, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe what happened. And then when we uncovered what the secret life that Christine was leaving, and she's so good with the baby, she's so good with the child that, Lauren, you know, I just fell for her.
Defense attorneys actually said that in court. They said, oh, the Banfields weren't exactly exclusive. BS, in my opinion.
That's part of the defense here. Jared, how's that going to play in the jury when you take Christine and say, no, she's actually, you know, we had sort of an open relationship.
It's shameful. The re-victimization of Christine Banfield is shameful, Vinny. It really is. And the bottom line is you're going to be able to take them apart with the technology, the blood spatter evidence here, and the photos, as we said. Good luck with that defense.
When you think about the whole plan, Lauren, though, having one of the victims bring the knife over, that's like brilliant.
It was. It worked out, or so Brendon Banfield thought, exactly like he wanted to. Joseph Ryan brought his murder weapon.
What's the long-term impact of this, right? Because there's, on the one hand, the 4-year-old. At the time of the murder, the 4-year-old's in the house, because that was part of the cover story, Jared. The 4-year-old, I mean, I guess is a potential witness, but I think that's a little too young.
Yeah, I believe she's too young, Vin, at 4. She would not overcome the tender years concerns. But the reality is there were subsequent charges against Brendon related to the child because this elaborate plot had put this 4-year-old little girl in the zone of danger of guns and knives while the child was present. And I'm glad the DA is pursuing those charges because you can't ignore that kind of flippant behavior when it comes to kids, particularly their own kids.
Yeah, and that's going to be an aggravating factor here, Lauren, when you get in front of a jury. Okay, husband, wife, you know, whatever. Now you put a child in the middle of all of this. Not only does she lose her mother, but she's there in the middle of all of this. She's been deceived by her father and by the nanny, the au pair. That's no sympathy is gonna make its way inside that courtroom.
None. I agree with you. I think that he's going to have a very hard time, Brendon Banfield. And I was so happy that those charges were added in December because I kept thinking to myself, how dare these two? I mean, again, the double murder, their alleged double murder is awful enough, but to do it while your own child is inside the house, your own child is in the basement is just despicable. And to use your word, Vinny, diabolical, truly.
Lauren Conlon, Jarrett Ferrantino, Primetime Crime on YouTube. Make sure you take a look after the show. Thank you both so much. Still to come, did the au pair get a sweetheart deal?
Okay, so you live here?
I'm an au pair.
You're an au pair? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It was a lot of blood.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cementelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cementelli.
Prosecutors say she and her lover killed Fabio to collect a big life insurance policy.
The defense may say she's a bad woman, but she wouldn't be involved in a murder.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story, but will there be a twist that no one sees?
The Celebrity Stylist Murder Trial. Weekday mornings, only on Court TV.
He was saying, drop
The knife or the gun?
the gun. And Brendon said, no, police, don't drop the knife. And he was saying, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her. And I don't know, he started stabbing her. I think Brendon shot him, and he asked me help to shot him too because
That's the au pair afterwards. Now, she claimed initially that Joseph Ryan was stabbing Christine Banfield, but he wasn't. That was part of the cover story. But then she does say, I shot him too. Remember, she had a gun, and the husband, Brendon, had a gun as well. He's a member of law enforcement. She's an au pair in her 20s from Brazil. Yet he made sure, it seems, that she shot him also. I think they both shot him. It's strange. It's murky what is happening in all this. But here is the huge twist in the way this case is proceeding to trial. Take a look. This from the Washington Post. Juliana Magalhaes, 24, who had been charged with second-degree murder in the case, which drew international attention, pleaded guilty to a manslaughter charge. In exchange for her cooperation, prosecutors agreed to recommend that she be released on time served after the trial of her employer. And that trial now has been scheduled, I believe, for the fall. Second degree to manslaughter, time served after his trial. That brings us to the next question in our investigation. Did the au pair get a sweetheart deal here? Joining me, prosecutor serving as a Commonwealth's attorney in Virginia, Anton Bell is with us, and clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. Okay, Anton, is this a sweetheart deal?
Absolutely. It is absolutely a sweetheart deal, so that you can absolutely understand the context of these charges. She was initially charged with second-degree murder, which carries 5 to 40 years in Virginia. And it got reduced to manslaughter, which carries 1 to 10 years in Virginia. And they're recommending that she get probation if she cooperates. However, under the facts of the case, and these are the facts that the prosecutor submitted to the court as what occurred in this particular crime, she should have been charged with aggravated murder under Virginia statute, which is 18.2-31. If you kill more than one person within a 3-year period of time, it is considered aggravated murder. That punishment, if convicted, is a life sentence without parole. So she could have typically or should have been tried under 18.2-31, which carries a life sentence without parole.
Wow. Dr. Judy Ho, my understanding is that she had to be convinced by her family in Brazil to take a deal to turn state's evidence against this man. What are your thoughts about what's going on through the mind of this 20-year-old au pair from Brazil?
Well, it sounds like she's still relatively young and impressionable. And as Anton just broke down for us, she got the deal of a lifetime. So it was probably good that she followed her family's advice. But it was interesting because I read that there was a brief phone call that she had with Banfield. And she said, maybe you're just with me because you don't want me to turn on you. And so it sounds like she's still very much connected to him. I'm not sure how much she's going to actually testify against him if that romantic bond is so strong, at least from her perspective. I don't know what he would do, but it doesn't sound like she's 100% ready to really turn on him other than taking this deal.
Anton, so tell me, how and why does a deal like this get brokered? How does that happen, and why do you think prosecutors went this route?
So typically what happens is whenever you have multiple individuals involved in some type of conspiracy of a crime, we always say whoever gets to the candy shop first, there's the person that's going to most likely get some type of consideration for their cooperation. So what you would typically see is a prosecutor will offer maybe a lighter sentence, or they would say, I will give you consideration for your truthful testimony against your co-defendant or co-defendants. In this particular case, which is quite unusual, you're actually seeing an actual plea agreement where they're actually saying, we're going to reduce the crime before you testify now. We're going to reduce the initial crime to something less than, and we're going to actually tell you what we're going to offer you if you testify against that person. Now, if I'm the defense attorney for the co-defendant, I'm going to say that person is absolutely lying because they're trying to save their own tail and they're trying to get the benefit from the state. You already see that if she testifies against me, she's going to be let free, and she should have been charged what I am being charged with at the moment. So that does not play well when it comes to testing the credibility of that particular witness in front of that jury.
Dr. Judy Ho, what do you think her life will be like afterwards? Because it seems like she's going to get out perhaps later this year.
Right. Well, there's so much press around this already, Vinny, and I don't know what her life is going to be like other than the fact that she's going to have to live this story down for quite some time, and she's going to have some excuse to be able to tell people, even if she gets let off, like, what were you doing? And this video, I mean, she's going to live in infamy. There's going to be a reputation that follows her, and I'm not sure how she's going to make sense of all of this. You know, she's not an innocent person in all of these proceedings. And so is she going to go on to even be the mastermind in some other crime? I hope not. I really hope not. And I'm worried about it because if she is going to be walking free, then I really hope that this does not cost us more lives.
Anton, we only have a few seconds left here, but give me an idea from your perspective, 0 to 10, how strong do you think the prosecution case is against the husband?
Ooh, I think if she does offer testimony against him, then I think you got probably an 8 or a 9. Without her testimony, it probably would have been less than maybe a 7 or a 6. But I think you still could have got beyond a reason even without her testimony.
Anton Bell, Dr. Judy Ho, thank you both so much. We'll see you again soon. You know, the au pair struck a sweet deal from prosecutors, lowering her charges from murder to manslaughter, getting out of prison. So now the question is, what will Brendon Banfield, the IRS agent, claim as his defense at trial? That his wife was into kinky knife play, or that the au pair planned it all? It seems whatever the defense is, he will have to blame a woman, and that may be a tough sell. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.